Have you ever wondered why some women seem to hold an almost magnetic pull over the men around them? It's not their looks, nor is it their charm alone. It's something far deeper, something almost primal, intangible. It's the way they walk through the world with an air of quiet authority, like the moon that doesn't shout for attention but pulls the tides nonetheless. These women have learned to embrace their power, not just the power to influence or control, but the dangerous, captivating force of self-knowing. In the realm of psychology, particularly through the lens of Carl Jung, we come to understand the dual nature of power. Power is not something given, nor is it a commodity to be earned. It is something that resides within us, waiting to be awakened, or as Jung would say, something that rises when the shadow is integrated, when the unconscious becomes conscious. This is where the feminine energy meets the profound depths of the soul. Most women have been conditioned to suppress their power, to wear the mask of meekness, gentleness, and pleasing others. They've been told that their worth is in their service to others, in being loved, desired, or accepted. But when a woman steps fully into her own power, something shifts, not only within her but in the world around her. Her presence becomes an echo of the archetypal great mother, the life-giver and life-taker, the destroyer and the creator. She embodies the deep feminine energy that shakes the world like an ancient, forgotten rhythm. It is this energy, the unrelenting power of self-awareness and unshakable self-worth, that attracts, disturbs, and sometimes terrifies the men she encounters. Jungian psychology teaches us that men are often drawn to women not for their beauty alone, but because of what they project unconsciously. In the woman who has fully embraced her power, men are forced to confront their own unconscious desires, fears, and projections. They are drawn not to the woman herself, but to the parts of themselves that they have never dared to face. Her power becomes a mirror, an unsettling reflection of their own shadows. In her, they see all that they have been too afraid to embrace in themselves: the dark, the unknown, the wild. A woman who knows her worth is a walking, breathing manifestation of their repressed desires, their ego's projections. The unconscious minds of men, starved for meaning, recognize in her the potential for both salvation and destruction. They long to possess her, yet they are repelled by the very force that makes her so irresistibly magnetic. But what does it mean for a woman to truly know her power? This is where the real danger lies. To know one's power is not just about confidence or self-assuredness. It is about the recognition of both light and shadow within oneself. It is about integrating the parts of the self that have been hidden, rejected, or forgotten. It is about embracing the wildness, the fury, the chaos, and the creativity that are as much a part of her as her softness, her gentleness, and her nurturing instinct. This is the process of individuation, the path of becoming the most complete, most authentic version of oneself. For a woman, the journey of individuation requires a confrontation with her own shadow, the parts of herself that she has been conditioned to deny or suppress. It is in the shadow that we find the deepest sources of power. The shadow is not inherently evil, it is merely the parts of the self that have been rejected, the qualities that do not fit into society's prescribed roles for women. For a woman who embraces her full power, she must accept her anger, her sexuality, her desire for independence, her need to be whole on her own terms, outside the framework of what others demand her to be. Only then does she step into her authentic power. The attraction she exudes is dangerous not because she is untouchable, but because she is paradoxically both a force of nature and an enigma. She does not chase approval, nor does she rely on external validation. She doesn't need to beg for attention or demand affection. It is the silence, the stillness in her that calls to the unconscious minds of others. They sense something in her, something both terrifying and magnetic. Her self-possession creates a vacuum, a magnetic pull that calls them toward her without explanation. For the men who are emotionally immature or unaware of their own shadows, this woman becomes an obsession. They find themselves seeking to possess what they can never fully understand. She is the embodiment of the anima, the feminine aspect of the unconscious, and through her, they are confronted with the parts of themselves they would rather ignore. The more they chase, the further she slips away, because her power lies not in how much she gives, but in how much she refuses to give. She does not seek them, she allows them to seek her, to fall into the abyss of their own longing. A woman who knows her power is a woman who understands the art of detachment. She has learned the importance of emotional distance, not as a way to manipulate, but as a way to protect the sanctity of her own soul. The true danger she poses is not in her ability to attract, but in her refusal to be defined or contained by anyone else's desires. This is what makes her so intoxicating. The quiet awareness that she is not just another object of affection, but a complex, multifaceted being who cannot be reduced to anyone's projections. Her power lies in her refusal to bend. When others try to mold her, she bends them, not by force, but by her complete alignment with her own inner truth. In this way, she does not need to be liked or validated by others. She has already validated herself. As the woman who knows her power moves through the world, she is both present and elusive. Her energy is not loud, yet it fills the room. She does not seek attention, yet she commands it effortlessly. Men find themselves drawn to her, not because of a need to fulfill her own desires, but because they are confronted with their own most vulnerable fears, desires, and projections. She is the mirror they did not know they needed, reflecting their deepest longings, their unspoken insecurities, their unacknowledged potential. But there is a cost to such power. The danger in embracing this level of self-awareness is that it forces others to confront their own limitations, their own weaknesses. A woman who knows her worth, her worthiness to be whole, is like a flame to a moth. She attracts those who are seeking to escape their own emotional imprisonment, those who wish to control her, to possess her in order to heal themselves. But she is no one's savior. She is not a stepping stone for someone else's growth. She is a force of nature in her own right. Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the masculine and feminine aspects of the unconscious. The anima in men is often projected outwardly onto women. They seek to find in her what is missing within themselves. They might desire her, yes, but they also yearn to possess her, to pull her into themselves in order to integrate their own repressed femininity, their own emotional vulnerability. But what happens when a woman knows her power? When she is fully integrated into herself, when she does not need them to complete her, but instead seeks only the experience of connection on her own terms. In these moments, men are forced to reckon with the very thing they fear most, their own lack of control. The woman who knows her power does not bend to external forces. She is whole in herself. For her, there is no need to mold herself into the image others want her to be. She becomes the touchstone for growth, but not for everyone. Only those who are ready for true transformation can be drawn toward her. For many, this is where the shadow becomes a dangerous force. Men in particular are taught to control, to dominate, to win women, to prove their worth through their actions. Yet the woman who knows her worth does not respond to these tactics. She is not impressed by external markers of power, money, status, titles, achievements. These are the things that men may use to validate their egos, but they do nothing to validate the woman who is rooted in her own essence. Her power does not come from external validation, nor from the need for someone else to see her as worthy. She is already worthy, and this perhaps is the most dangerous thing about her, her lack of need. To be in her presence is to be confronted with one's own neediness, one's own desperate longing to be seen, to be loved, to be acknowledged. But she does not give this freely. She offers connection, yes, but not from a place of need. Rather, she offers it from a place of sovereignty, of understanding that love is not something to be begged for, but something to be shared freely by two whole beings. This brings us back to the core of Jung's teachings, the journey of individuation. The process of individuation is the journey toward becoming whole, toward integrating all parts of oneself, both light and shadow. The woman who knows her power is one who has walked this path. She has faced her own darkness, her rage, her vulnerability, her abandonment, her loneliness, and in doing so, she has transformed them. She no longer hides from her shadows. Instead, she has learned to embrace them, to integrate them into her life. And this is what makes her magnetic. She is whole, not in spite of her darkness, but because of it. She does not run from the darkness within her, nor does she seek to control it. She has made peace with it. This peace radiates outwardly, creating a calm in the storm. She does not need to dominate, to manipulate, or to force anything. In fact, she has mastered the art of detachment. She understands that true power is not about control or possession. True power is about being able to remain centered within oneself no matter the chaos around you. True power is about the ability to remain silent, to be present, to be still in a world that constantly demands more from you. It is this quiet mastery, this internal calm, that exerts the most influence. Men who encounter her are often thrown into turmoil, their emotions stirred, their egos threatened, for they are not encountering the woman they can control or possess. They are encountering the feminine energy in its purest, most untamed form. It is this energy that calls them to evolve, to confront their own fears, to reckon with their shadows, and yet this same energy also invites them to surrender, to let go of the need to dominate, to possess, to win. It is not an easy journey for them. In fact, for many, it is a journey they are not yet ready to take. But for those few who dare to step into the unknown, to face the full force of their own unconscious, the reward is nothing short of transformation. The woman who knows her power is not simply a muse, nor is she an object to be conquered. She is a force of nature, both beautiful and terrifying, nurturing and destructive, silent and deafening in her intensity. She exists not to please nor to serve, but to be, and in her being she invites all who encounter her to do the same, to be. When a woman truly knows her power, she becomes the embodiment of paradox. She is at once distant and deeply connected, tender yet untouchable, nurturing yet unapologetically fierce. This dance between softness and strength is the essence of her allure and her danger. For many men, this is the point of greatest confusion, the place where attraction turns into obsession and admiration into a quiet terror. The man who is drawn to her finds himself in an emotional maze, unable to pinpoint exactly what it is about her that he cannot seem to possess. At first, he is captivated by her beauty, the way she seems to float through life with effortless grace. But as he becomes more involved, he realizes that her beauty is only a surface reflection of something far deeper. It is not her appearance that enchants him, but the quiet certainty in her that exists beyond any superficial attraction. Jung spoke often of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies that reside in each of us, regardless of gender. For men, the anima is the internalized feminine. It is that part of themselves which is intuitive, emotional, and deeply connected to the unconscious. It is the source of their creative drive, their emotional depth, and their capacity for connection. When a man encounters a woman who knows her power, he is not simply drawn to her femininity, he is drawn to the part of himself that he has forgotten or denied. But herein lies the danger. Men, in their ignorance, often project their anima onto the woman before them, hoping to receive something from her that they have failed to cultivate within themselves. They believe that she will fulfill their emotional needs, that she will rescue them from their internal void. They long to possess her, to pull her into their world so that they can fill the emptiness they feel inside. But the woman who knows her power does not fall into this trap. She does not exist to save anyone. Her presence, however magnetic, is not an invitation to be consumed. Rather, it is an invitation to be seen, to be recognized for who one truly is. This is where the struggle often begins. The man who has not yet faced his own shadows will see her as a challenge, as something to be won, and in doing so he only pushes her further away. In the deepest part of their psyche, they fear the woman who is whole. Her very wholeness is a threat to their own fragmented egos. She asks for nothing but to be seen and accepted in her full complexity. She requires nothing from them but respect. And this, in itself, is enough to destabilize a man who has not yet integrated his own masculine shadow. In his pursuit of her, he will find himself forced to confront parts of himself that he may have spent a lifetime ignoring. His vulnerabilities, his neediness, his own inner turmoil. It is in this confrontation that the true danger of her power lies. She does not bend to their projections, and she will not be cajoled into submission by their desires. Her strength is not in the way she resists them, but in her ability to remain unshaken by their attempts to define her. She is not swayed by their approval, nor does she seek their admiration. In fact, she is perfectly content in her own solitude, not because she is cold or unfeeling, but because she has learned to be complete within herself. To be around her is to be confronted by the deep, raw truth of one's own unfulfilled desires, desires that are often repressed, ignored, or misdirected. The woman who knows her power invites others to reckon with their own feelings of inadequacy, their own fears of abandonment, and their own need for validation. She is the mirror that reflects the deep wounds they have yet to heal, the places where their egos still need to grow. But she will not heal them. She cannot. Healing is a solitary journey, a process of individuation that each person must embark upon alone. This is why she is dangerous, not because she is manipulative or cruel, but because she does not offer the emotional crutch that so many men desperately seek. Instead, she offers something far more powerful, the chance to see themselves for who they truly are, to confront the darkness within and perhaps to transcend it. For some, this journey will be too much to bear. They will retreat, frightened by the deep introspection that her presence demands. Others will try to break her down, to bend her to their will, only to find that she cannot be broken. She is not a possession to be claimed, but a force to be reckoned with. The men who come into her orbit and try to dominate her will find themselves fighting a battle they cannot win. And yet, there are those who will see her for who she truly is, not as an object of desire to be conquered, but as a fellow soul, equally complex, equally whole. These men will not be intimidated by her strength, but will instead be drawn to it, inspired by her ability to stand fully in her truth, no matter the consequences. They will recognize that her power does not diminish theirs. Rather, it challenges them to step into their own wholeness, to face the parts of themselves that they have long neglected. The woman who knows her power is not a passive observer of her own life. She is an active creator, constantly in the process of becoming more fully herself. She is the embodiment of growth and transformation, and while her journey may be lonely at times, it is also one of profound liberation. She is free from the constraints of other people's expectations, free from the need for approval, free from the fear of judgment. This is what makes her so dangerous. She is free. And in her freedom, she invites others to find their own. To be in her presence is to feel the stirrings of a deeper calling, the urge to rise above the smallness of ego, to transcend the illusions of the world, and to embrace the fullness of one's true self. In the end, it is not just the woman who knows her power who is transformed by her presence. It is everyone around her. Her strength is contagious. Her sovereignty is an invitation to others to claim their own. And in this, there is both the greatest danger and the most profound beauty. The dangerous attraction of a woman who knows her power is not simply about what she takes from the world. It is about what she gives, the courage to become fully, unapologetically, and unshakably oneself. The woman who knows her power does not merely walk through life. She carves her own path with the fierce grace of one who is intimately acquainted with the wilderness of her soul. She is not afraid to confront the parts of herself that are messy, uncomfortable, and misunderstood. In fact, she welcomes them, for it is only by embracing her own shadow, the aspects of herself that have been cast aside or rejected by society, by the ego, or even by her own psyche, that she becomes truly whole. Jung's concept of the shadow is one of the most crucial pieces in understanding what makes this woman so intoxicating and, at times, intimidating. The shadow is the unconscious part of the psyche, the repressed thoughts, feelings, and traits that we choose to hide from ourselves and the world. It is the part of us that we are taught to deny or suppress, yet it holds the key to our greatest potential. The woman who knows her power has faced her shadow, and in doing so, she has liberated herself. She has allowed her darkness to emerge, not as something to fear, but as something to integrate. She understands that power is not about perfection, it is about the wholeness of being. It is in the acceptance of both the light and dark within herself that she becomes truly formidable. She no longer needs to perform, to conform, or to please. She simply is. This integration of the shadow gives her a quiet, unshakable confidence. It is a confidence born not from the approval of others, nor from the validation of external achievements, but from a deep-rooted knowing that she is enough, just as she is. She is not defined by her circumstances, her relationships, or the roles she plays in the world. She is defined by the quiet, steadfast presence of her own being. Men who encounter her are often caught in the whirlwind of their own projections, drawn to her in ways they do not fully understand. She holds up a mirror to them, forcing them to confront the parts of themselves they have long ignored, their own desires, their own fears, and perhaps most dangerously, their own vulnerabilities. For many, this is a jarring experience. They are not accustomed to seeing themselves reflected in another's eyes with such clarity. She does not attempt to fix them. She does not try to heal them. She does not offer them comfort or reassurance. Instead, she invites them to do the hard work of self-discovery. She is not their savior, nor is she their muse to be worshipped from a distance. She is simply her. And it is in this pure, unfiltered expression of self that her power lies. The woman who knows her power does not require external validation. She does not seek to be loved, admired, or adored. She does not need anyone to confirm her worth. She is already worthy. In this sense, she becomes an enigma. She is both fully present and at the same time impossibly distant. She exists in a realm that others cannot always access, not because she is closed off or inaccessible, but because she has transcended the need for validation. This is where the dangerous attraction comes into play. Men who are emotionally unprepared or immature may find themselves obsessed with her, not because they truly understand her, but because they see her as a mirror to their own unfulfilled needs. They crave what they perceive as her unattainability. They become fixated not on who she truly is, but on the idea of who she could be to them. They project their desires onto her, imagining that by possessing her, they can possess the parts of themselves they have long ignored. Yet she is not interested in being possessed. She is not interested in being owned, molded, or reshaped. She is not a prize to be won. Her power lies in her freedom, in the freedom to exist as she is, without apology or compromise. And this is what makes her so dangerous. She cannot be controlled. For those who are ready to face the mirror she holds up, her power becomes a catalyst for transformation. For those who are not ready, it becomes an overwhelming force that they cannot grasp. They will chase her, yes, but they will never catch her because she is not something to be caught. She is not a trophy. She is a force of nature. This is the paradox of her power. It is not in her pursuit of others, but in her refusal to be pursued. She does not chase, nor does she need to. She is already whole, already enough. She does not bend to the will of others, nor does she submit to the pressure to conform to their desires. She simply is. And it is this quiet, unshakable essence that captivates and repels in equal measure. The woman who knows her power understands that the most dangerous force in the world is not one of violence or aggression, but of detachment. When one is free of the need for validation, the need for approval, the need for love, when one is fully self-sufficient, one becomes untouchable. It is in this detachment that her true power lies. She is not emotionally dependent on anyone or anything. She is the embodiment of the Stoic ideal. She is not disturbed by the things she cannot control, nor does she seek to control that which is outside of her. Jung would say that to know your power is to know the depths of your own soul, to have the courage to face both your light and your darkness without flinching. The woman who knows her power has done this. She has walked through the fire of her own fears, desires, and insecurities, and emerged on the other side not only unscathed, but emboldened. And it is this fire, the fire of her own authenticity, T-note, Hat makes her impossible to ignore. Her attraction is dangerous because it invites men to face themselves, not as they want to be seen, but as they truly are. It forces them to reckon with their own shadows, their own vulnerabilities, and their own limitations. For those who are not ready for this kind of confrontation, the pull of her presence can be overwhelming. And yet, for those who are willing to undergo the transformation, she becomes the key to their own individuation, the invitation to embrace their own power, to step into their own wholeness. The woman who knows her power is not simply a force to be reckoned with. She is the force that invites others to step into their own. Her freedom is both a gift and a challenge, and it is this very challenge that makes her so dangerous and so irresistible. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.